If you watched the last video, you know that this engine is essentially a very expensive doorstop. You see that? It isn't useless. The engine builder has been working on these cars, you know, for like 50 years. Says that my cam looks fine. It is an aftermarket cam, so it's a little bit of a hotter cam. I forget the company, but he knew it. He was able to, in fact, it might say it on here. I don't see it right now, but he knew the company. He said, yeah, these are pretty good cams. It's a little bit of like an upgraded, you know, supposed to be like a little more of a sporty cam. And the crank looked good to him. It seems like I just need a top end. I need new pistons and cylinders. My rods look good. A lot of the main bits are good. And obviously I was being kind of cheeky in the last video, joking around about how expensive. It is expensive. There's no denying that. It's not what I was hoping for. But here I am, and I'm still really excited about this car. I'm so glad that I, you know, found this thing, and that I've had this journey and all this learning experiences. Thank you guys for, you know, following along with the project and you know, being interested in the car and in my build. So a top end. So I want reliability. I want the thing to last. You know, it's a 90 horsepower car. I've got a 911, so I don't really need this thing to be a hot rod. I just want it to be as reliable as I can get it. So pretty much just going to keep the, you know, 82 millimeter pistons. It actually had 86.5s, but I'm going to go back to 82. I think it's 82 or 82.5, and yeah, just go for reliability and just have this thing be a totally original cruiser. I want it to feel like it would have felt if I bought the car in 1967, because that's when this guy bought it. Now that I know it doesn't run, now you guys know it doesn't run, what next? I've spent the better part of 3.5 months-ish, well over 1,000 hours restoring this car, and now I'm chomping at the bit to drive it. I've been weighing out different options and thinking about this. One of the options would be that I rebuild this engine myself. The problem with that is it's going to take me a lot of time, which currently I don't have. Got a baby coming here soon, wife and I are expecting, so that isn't really something I'm excited about. I don't want this car to just sit for, let's say, 8 months waiting for me to rebuild this motor. I mean, clearly one of the options I have would be to have this guy rebuild my motor. Another option is that I buy a running 912 motor and take my time rebuilding this engine. If you've got one, message me. I'm mgideon_ on Instagram, or you can leave a comment here. Maybe we can connect somehow. That would be the best option for me. I don't know how realistic that is, but that would be really cool. I could buy a motor, drive the car for a little while if it runs. It's a big risk. If I buy another motor and get it and it's like get, then I could have even more problems. So that would be risky. Obviously, if somebody already, you know, can fire it up on a stand and all that, that would be killer. Best case scenario though, I throw another 912 motor in this, and I take my time and I rebuild that and I get the experience, and I probably have that thing going in any time between 6 months and 12 months. I could then later resell the motor, and that would be awesome. That would probably be the best thing. Finding a decent one at a decent price, that's the hard part. Very cool potential but unlikely scenario would be that somebody who has rebuilt 1 or 3 or 10 of these engines or 50 of these engines contacts me and says, Michael, you seem like a pretty nice guy. You seem like you really want to learn, and you know, listen, I've built about 80 of them motors, or even 8 of them motors. Why don't you bring that thing over to my house and we'll rebuild it in a weekend? Now that would be really cool, but the odds of finding someone that would do that, I'm not really holding my breath. But if that's you, contact me. Since this thing is pretty much at a standstill, I've actually gotten a chance to get my Triumph going back. Had a little carb issue and I fixed it up, and I've been enjoying the hell out of this the last couple of days. So video incoming on this bike soon. So all of this talk about different options on the engine and this and that, it's like, well, what about a 6-cylinder? And if you're thinking, I would put a 6-cylinder in there, you're not crazy. That would be an amazing thing. I've thought about it many times. This car is just too nice and too original. Even if this wasn't the numbers matching motor, I still don't think I would do that to this car just because of how original and how nice the car is. Knowing that the engine doesn't run, the next logical step is to determine whether or not this motor does in fact match the car. When I purchased the car, I got one of these, which is a Porsche factory maintenance record. I'm covering up the serial and engine numbers just because I don't know if anyone could do anything. I doubt it. I just don't know if it's smart to put that information here on the internet. Pretty cool little booklet to have. Now the engine numbers and chassis numbers are written in. Sure as heck looks like it was written in a long time ago to me. When I bought the car, I did not actually verify that the engine numbers written here matched my engine case. You should do that. I didn't do it. I was just excited about how clean and rust-free this car was. I would have bought it even if it didn't have a matching engine. It's probably unwise, and I think in the future if I buy another car like this, I'll probably be checking. Nevertheless, this is something good to have. When all this came up, I was like, let me go get that maintenance record. When I bought the car, of course, I checked that the serial number on the title I have matches this and also matches inside the door and in the front tub, and they all match. So I wasn't, I was confident that, the whole deal was legit and the car was legit. I just didn't check the engine numbers. Particularly easy right now, right here, where my fingers are, I'm actually covering it. Right there it says made in Germany, and right above that are the engine numbers. Now the numbers here match the numbers that are in here. Right when I checked, I went, well, that's a good sign. The best thing you could do to verify, most of you are gonna know this likely if you're watching this channel and you're into Porsches, is to get a COA, a certificate of authenticity. So the next best thing is to contact somebody who has a source in Germany and they have access to the kardexes. But what is a kardex and how is it different from a certificate of authenticity? To do my best to paraphrase, and if this is wrong, please correct me in the comments. A kardex was a data card for maintenance records from the factory. For example, if you had a motor change from the factory, they would have put it in the kardex. And certain maintenance items could have been in a kardex. According to some information I found online, a kardex is really for 356s, early 911s, and 912s. It's kind of like the most useful piece of information from Porsche on these cars. For sure, every kardex is going to have the chassis numbers, engine numbers, transmission numbers, and color. Those are 4 things. There's probably so much more. There's so much information on this. It's weird too because the way that they did it, like the engine numbers do not match the serial numbers. I don't know. You guys tell me, educate me in the comments. I'm happy to learn more, but there's just so much information on all of this. I'm just kind of trying to paraphrase for this video, and just because my understanding is limited. Getting a kardex is way easier than getting a COA. You used to be able to get a COA pretty easily, but now my understanding is that you got to take one of these cars to an authorized location. They look the car over, check the VIN, and they end up sending it, I guess, to Germany. Then you get back, your certificate of authenticity at some point. This car is not exactly drivable right now, so not practical. Getting a kardex would work great for me, and that's exactly what I did. I contacted this guy, and he was able to provide the kardex for me. Some kardexes have more information than others. One kardex may have lots of maintenance records and all that kind of stuff from the factory, and some of them are going to just be very short and brief. It was actually good for me to get a kardex for more than one reason. Of course, I want to know whether or not the motor is in fact matching, but I also just want to see for certain that this car came in this color, which is tangerine. The code in the door says it's clearly tangerine. There is tangerine coming through everything, underneath the dash. I pulled the door card off to get a key made. It's orange. The undercoating on this entire car has got orange coming through. So I was very confident that it was tangerine. I wanted to be totally sure. I've had Porsches for a few years now, so this isn't the first time that I've actually requested information from a certain guy who's got a source in Germany, and he has access to the Kardexes. And later cars, like I think in 1970 or 71 and later, there is no kardex. I think you can only get a certificate of authenticity, but they can get, well, this gentleman can actually get, like, it's sort of a pseudo kardex, which gives you a bunch of information. I don't know all of the details. I just know that there's a source in Germany, and he's able to access this information that tells you engine numbers, transmission numbers, color, where it was delivered, you know, interior options and all that kind of stuff. When I got my Targa, I wanted to know if that motor was matching. And so I contacted this gentleman. I found him online to get the information, which was not a kardex because that car's a 73, but he was able to give me this pseudo report, you know, kardex, whatever you want to call it. And fortunately, that motor is the matching motor to my Targa, and he was able to tell me, you know, the interior color actually was optioned as tan. And so, you know, yeah, it was in fact a Viper green Targa from the factory. I believe it's a Carmen. I think that's a Carmen car as well. But it was delivered, I think that car may have been delivered in Florida. Anyway, all coming back to this, I contacted the same guy and I was able to get a kardex. And this is what it looks like. After he ran it and provided the report to me, fortunately, it's a match. So this motor is in fact the original engine that this car came with, which is awesome. And one of the details that made me really happy, I don't know how you say it, Blut orange, and the code for the color is tangerine. And that's how this car came from the factory, which is really, really cool. And that made me happy. So all good news. I want to keep this thing as original as possible. You know, hey guys, when you like, share, and comment, apparently subscriptions are not that important anymore to YouTube, but liking the video, leaving me a comment, and sharing it with a friend is really what you can do to support this channel and to, you know, help me to know that I'm doing a good job on these and that you would like to see future videos. These take a long time to make these videos, and you know, I'm sharing them for a few reasons, but one of those is to entertain you guys, that's for sure. So thanks so much again, and I'll see you guys on the next one.